Imagine an abandoned hospital, the air thick with silence, the moon casting an eerie glow through broken windows. And it's midnight, the time when the darkest stories come to life. So, there I was, curious as a cat, exploring this forgotten place with friends. We ventured down dimly lit hallways, each step echoing like a heartbeat in that empty building. Shadows danced on the walls and the smell of decay lingered in the air. As we delved deeper, a chill crept up my spine and I felt like eyes were watching us. Suddenly, a distant sound pierced the silence, an unsettling creak like the groan of a door opening on its own. We froze, exchanging nervous glances, our hearts racing faster than a sprinter. Ignoring our instincts to flee, we pressed on, drawn by a haunting curiosity. That's when we stumbled upon a room, its door slightly ajar. Inside, an old hospital bed stood, covered in tattered sheets. But what caught our attention were the walls, adorned with faded drawings, seemingly made by a child's hand. In the dim light, those innocent drawings took on a sinister vibe. As we studied them, they seemed to tell a story. A child trapped in this desolate place, drawing their fears and the horrors they witnessed. Goosebumps prickled my skin as I felt a sudden cold breath against my neck. But the real horror was yet to come. As we turned to leave, the door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Panic gripped us, our screams echoing through the corridors. Desperate, we tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge, trapping us inside that chilling room. Then, as quickly as it shut, the door swung open and we stumbled out, gasping for air. Shaken, we raced out of that forsaken hospital, hearts pounding like drums in our chests. Now, Cryptic Lords, you might think the horror ended there. But here's the twist that'll send shivers down your spine. When we looked back at the hospital from a distance, we saw a faint light flickering in that very room. And etched on the window was a child's handprint, as if someone, or something, wanted us to remember that eerie night. I've never felt chills like that since, and I still wonder about the chilling secrets hidden within those walls. It's a reminder that some mysteries are best left untouched. Cryptic Lords, I've got more to share, something that still haunts my thoughts to this day. In that forsaken hospital, we heard strange noises like whispers in the wind, echoing through the corridors. It felt like unseen eyes were watching our every move. But that was just the beginning. As we ventured deeper, shadows danced on the walls, twisting and contorting in ways that chilled us to the bone. At first, we brushed it off as our minds playing tricks, but these shadows seemed alive, moving independently of any light source. Then came the sounds, soft at first, like faint footsteps echoing in the distance. We stopped dead in our tracks, listening intently. But there was no mistaking it. Those footsteps were getting closer, each step quickening our heartbeats. Panic clawed at us as we searched for a place to hide. Shadows flickered and danced around us, creating a chilling symphony of fear. And just when we thought we were safe, the lights flickered and died, plunging us into a darkness so thick it felt suffocating. In that pitch-black moment, the noises grew louder, the footsteps echoing louder than ever. We clung to each other, terrified beyond words. Then a sudden flash of light revealed a shadow, a figure standing mere feet away, its form distorted and twisted. Our screams pierced the darkness as the figure lunged towards us, its chilling presence sending shockwaves through our bodies. And just when we thought it was upon us, the lights flickered back on, and the figure vanished into thin air. We stumbled out of that place, shaken to our core, vowing never to return. But here's the twist, Cryptic Lords. When we looked back at the hospital from afar, the lights were on, and shadows moved within, as if beckoning us to return, their whispers echoing in our ears. It's a memory that still sends shivers down my spine, a chilling reminder of the unknown horrors lurking in that abandoned hospital. All right, Cryptic Lords, here's where things took a spine-chilling turn. After that harrowing night in the abandoned hospital, curiosity gnawed at us. We needed answers, and where do you turn for answers? History. So we delved into the past of that forsaken place, hoping to unearth some secrets, maybe even put our fears to rest. The hospital's history was murky, like trying to see through fog. Stories floated around town, whispered tales of patients disappearing, of experiments gone awry. Some said the hospital shut down due to funding, while others claimed it was something more sinister. But the truth was elusive, hiding behind layers of faded documents and hushed whispers. We scoured through old archives, digging deeper than any of us had imagined. Patient records hinted at unusual treatments, procedures that made our skin crawl. But the real shock came when we stumbled upon a series of journal entries from a doctor who worked there ages ago. His writing spoke of a hidden wing in the hospital, a place not meant for public eyes. Experimentation, secrecy, and a darkness that seemed to consume everything it touched. It sent chills down our spines. The doctor's final entries hinted at something, malevolent lurking within those very walls, something he dared not name. As we pieced together this disturbing puzzle, a sense of dread settled in. But here's the twist, Cryptic Lords. When we tried to find the source of these entries, the archives were mysteriously devoid of any mention of this doctor or the hidden wing. It's as if something, or someone, wanted to keep that dark chapter hidden, buried deep within the hospital's past. Cryptic Lords dive into thrilling mysteries and chilling tales on our channel. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers to unlock more eerie adventures together. Subscribe now and join our community exploring the enigmatic. The more we dug, the more elusive the truth became. It felt like we were being watched, as if the shadows themselves were guarding this chilling secret. And to this day, I wonder if some things are better left buried, if some truths are just too horrifying to face. The hospital's past remains a haunting mystery, its secrets whispering in the wind, leaving us with an unshakable sense of unease. Gather round, Cryptic Lords, for the climax of this bone-chilling tale. After uncovering the hospital's dark past, we were determined to confront whatever lurked within those haunted halls. Call it bravery or sheer foolishness, but we returned to that forsaken place, seeking closure to the lingering horrors that haunted our minds. Armed with flashlights and nerves of steel, we stepped into that decaying hospital once more. The air was heavy, charged with an otherworldly energy. Shadows danced on the walls, whispering secrets we dared not comprehend. But we pressed on, driven by a mix of dread and determination. That's when things took a turn for the worse. As we ventured deeper, the atmosphere grew colder, sending shivers down our spines. Strange phenomena began. Objects moved on their own, whispers echoed through the corridors, and chilling drafts made the hairs on our necks stand on end. We found ourselves in the very room where we had that encounter with the inexplicable shadow figure. Dread filled the air, thick enough to suffocate us. But we didn't expect what happened next. A sudden silence fell upon us, a deafening void in that echoing darkness. Then, a voice, an unearthly whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once, echoed in the room. It spoke in words that chilled us to the bone, words that hinted at a malevolent presence lingering within those walls. Fear gripped us, paralyzing our every move. And just when we thought we couldn't take any more, the lights flickered and a bone-chilling scream pierced the air. We turned to flee, only to find ourselves trapped, the door sealed shut by an unseen force. Panic consumed us as the room seemed to warp and twist, a nightmarish spectacle unfolding before our eyes. And then, in a heartbeat, everything went silent. The lights returned, the door swung open, and we stumbled out, hearts pounding in our chests. But Cryptic Lords, here's the twist that will make your skin crawl. When we looked back at the hospital from a distance, it stood there, seemingly untouched, the lights flickering in that very room, and etched on the window was a message in chilling handwriting. You can never leave. To this day, The horrors of that night linger in our minds, a haunting reminder that some fears are not just of this world. It leaves me wondering if we truly escaped, or if we're forever tethered to the malevolent forces that reside within those forsaken walls. Cryptic Lords, if this spine-chilling tale has left you craving more hair-raising adventures and eerie escapades, make sure to subscribe for more chilling stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Story 2. Creepy Office Encounter. Alright, Cryptic Lords, picture this. It's a late, eerie night. I'm stuck in the office, surrounded by flickering fluorescent lights that cast long, ominous shadows across the walls. The only sound is the faint hum of the air conditioning, making the silence even more unsettling. I'd been working late, trying to meet a looming deadline. The office was empty. Even the janitor had called it a night. I was lost in my work, unaware of the time slipping away until a strange feeling crept over me, a sense of being watched. I shook it off as exhaustion, blaming it on the late hour. But then came the whispers. At first they were faint, like distant echoes bouncing off the empty halls. I strained to make out the words, but they were unintelligible, just eerie murmurs that made my skin crawl. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the office into momentary darkness. My heart raced and I fumbled for my phone to use its flashlight. As the light pierced the darkness, I saw something, a figure standing at the far end of the office. My breath caught in my throat and a shiver ran down my spine. I called out, but there was no response. The figure stood still, almost like a statue. I hesitated, unsure whether to approach or flee. Before I could decide, the figure vanished into thin air, leaving me stunned and terrified. I tried to brush it off, attributing it to fatigue and my overactive imagination. But then, the whispers returned, louder this time and more distinct. They seemed to be coming from all directions, closing in on me. Panic seized me and I bolted towards the exit. Just as I reached the door, a chilling voice whispered right behind me, sending shivers down my spine. You shouldn't have stayed so late, for the company you keep after hours is not of the living. I turned around in horror, but there was no one there. The office was empty, devoid of any presence. I stumbled out into the empty hallway, heart pounding, and fled the building. But the whispers lingered, following me home, a haunting reminder that some things aren't meant to be understood or encountered. And as I finally reached the safety of my house, a whispered echo followed me. You'll never be alone in the dark again. Cryptic Lords, that mysterious figure still haunts my thoughts. I've replayed that night over and over in my mind, trying to make sense of the encounter, but it remains an enigma. It was like staring into the void, a shapeless darkness that seemed to materialize out of thin air. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every time I glanced up from my work, I felt its presence lurking in the shadows, just at the edge of my vision. It never moved, never made a sound, yet its silent presence was suffocating. When the lights flickered and the figure appeared, it was as if time froze. The air turned icy and my skin prickled with an inexplicable dread. Its form was indistinct, a silhouette blending seamlessly with the darkness. I tried to call out, but fear clutched at my throat, rendering me speechless. It wasn't human, I was sure of that. There was something otherworldly about it, something that defied logic and reason. And when it vanished into thin air, leaving only the echoes of whispers in its wake, I was left trembling, questioning my sanity. I thought leaving the office would dispel the terror, but the whispers followed me home, a constant reminder that the encounter was far from over. Each night as I lay in bed, I could feel its presence lingering in the shadows, a chilling reminder of that fateful night. But the most chilling revelation came when I stumbled upon an old office log. Buried within its pages were records of a tragic incident that occurred years ago, a mysterious disappearance on the same night I encountered the shadowy figure. The missing person's description eerily matched the silhouette I had seen. It dawned on me then that I might not have encountered a mere specter, but something far more sinister, a lingering entity forever tied to that office, preying on those who dare to stay past the witching hour. And with a sinking realization, I understood that I might never escape its haunting presence. Cryptic Lords, that feeling of dread was unlike anything I've ever experienced. It started subtly, like a faint whisper at the edge of hearing, a creeping sensation that something wasn't right. I brushed it off at first, blaming it on the late hour and the eerie emptiness of the office. But as the night wore on, the unease grew. It was as if the air itself had thickened, becoming oppressive and charged with an unknown energy. Every creak of the building, every distant sound sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of not being alone in that desolate office. The flickering lights only added to the sense of impending doom. They danced erratically, casting grotesque shadows that seemed to move on their own. I found myself glancing over my shoulder constantly, half expecting to see something lurking in the darkness behind me. When the whispers began, that's when the dread reached its peak. They were hushed, indistinct voices that seemed to emanate from the very walls, as if the building itself held some terrible secret. I couldn't make out the words, but the sinister tone sent chills down my spine. I tried to ignore it, to focus on my work, but the whispers grew louder, more insistent. It was as if they were trying to communicate something dark and foreboding. And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, a sudden gust of icy wind swept through the office, blowing papers off my desk and extinguishing the lights. In that moment of utter darkness, a single phrase echoed through the void. "You're not alone." My heart pounded in my chest as I scrambled for my phone's flashlight, illuminating the room once more. But there was nothing there, nothing except the chilling certainty that I was in the presence of something beyond comprehension, something that belonged to the realm of nightmares. And as I fled the office, the whispers followed me, trailing like a sinister melody. It was then that I realized the chilling truth. Whatever had manifested in that office wasn't confined to its walls. It had latched onto me, ensuring that I'd never escape the feeling of dread no matter where I went. Cryptic Lords, if this spine-chilling tale has left you craving more hair-raising adventures and eerie escapades, make sure to subscribe for more chilling stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Story 3. Eerie Hotel Experience. What would you do if you stumbled upon a place that felt like time had abandoned it? The haunted hotel stood tall, its windows shattered and draped in cobwebs, an ominous presence in the midst of an otherwise bustling town. As I approached, the air grew colder, sending shivers down my spine. Curiosity gripped me tighter than fear, drawing me closer to the enigma that was this derelict building. Arriving at dusk, the fading sunlight cast elongated shadows that danced upon the decrepit walls. A tinge of apprehension whispered in my ears, but the allure of the unknown pulled me forward. The entrance creaked open, welcoming me into the heart of the abandoned structure. The lobby lay barren, furniture draped in dusty sheets, and the air hung heavy with an eerie silence. Night descended swiftly, wrapping the hotel in a blanket of darkness. Strange whispers seemed to echo from unseen corners, and I found myself questioning my sanity. Yet it wasn't until the witching hour that things took an unsettling turn. I awoke in the dead of night to an otherworldly sensation, a chill that ran deeper than bone. A faint, ghastly glow flickered down the hallway. Heart pounding, I ventured forth, compelled by an inexplicable force. Shadows danced around me, morphing into grotesque shapes as I proceeded, and whispers grew louder, like a chorus of tormented souls. Around a corner, I encountered a figure cloaked in darkness, standing motionless. Panic gripped me, freezing me in place. The figure slowly turned, revealing hollow eyes that seemed to peer into my very soul. My scream was swallowed by the silence as the figure vanished into thin air, leaving behind a spine-tingling echo. Terrified, I bolted back to my room, hoping to escape this nightmare. But there, Etched on the wall in crimson were cryptic symbols I couldn't decipher. Fear enveloped me, trapping me in this nightmarish reality. As dawn approached, I fled the haunted hotel, haunted by the unearthly encounters. The daylight offered solace, but the memory lingered, haunting me like a specter. Cryptic Lords, the twist? Months later, while browsing through old town records, I stumbled upon a faded photograph of the haunted hotel taken decades ago. In the background, a figure stood eerily familiar, the same one I encountered in the dead of night. But here's the spine-chilling revelation. This figure, unchanged over the years, had been reported missing in the very room where I had stayed. Dread clutched my heart as I realized I had encountered a ghost from decades past, forever trapped within the hotel's haunted confines. Cryptic Lords, something eerie lingered in the hallways of that forsaken hotel. It wasn't just the creaking floorboards or the flickering lights. It was an unexplainable force, something beyond comprehension. One night, as I trudged through the desolate corridors, an unsettling sensation crawled up my spine. Shadows danced, stretching and contorting as if hiding secrets within their murky depths. Each step echoed, not just with the sound of my footfall, but with whispers, soft, indistinct murmurs that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. There was a room, tucked away at the far end, where inexplicable phenomena seemed to converge. The air grew thick with an otherworldly chill, and a presence, a dark, foreboding presence, seemed to loom within those walls. Doors slammed shut, their echoes resonating like thunder in the dead of night, yet no soul traversed those hallways. Cryptic Lords, I confess, fear gripped me tight. But curiosity, that relentless beast, urged me on. Pushing past my apprehension, I crept toward the source of these chilling occurrences. The door to the room stood ajar, beckoning me closer with a silent invitation. With trepidation, I pushed the door open. The room lay empty, bathed in an ethereal glow emanating from nowhere. The air crackled with an unspoken tension, and a sense of being watched enveloped me like a suffocating shroud. As I turned to leave, a sudden gust of wind slammed the door shut behind me, plunging me into a suffocating darkness. Panic surged through my veins, and I fumbled for the handle, but it refused to yield. Then, just as swiftly as it had closed, the door creaked open, revealing an empty hallway. Trembling, I stumbled out, the chill lingering on my skin like a ghostly caress. But Cryptic Lords, here's the twist that sent shivers down my spine even months later. Reviewing footage captured by chance on my phone that night, I saw myself struggling against that door, but beside me, an indistinct figure, a shadowy silhouette, pushed against it, preventing my escape. There in the darkness, an unseen entity had toyed with me, a sinister presence manipulating the very fabric of reality. That night, I realized I wasn't alone in that haunted hotel. An entity, invisible yet undeniably present, lurked in the shadows, playing its malevolent games with unsuspecting souls who dared to wander its forsaken halls. With a pounding heart and a mind fraught with inexplicable terror, I escaped the clutches of that haunted hotel. But the haunting memories of those unexplained phenomena persisted, etched into my consciousness like a chilling nightmare. Cryptic Lords, even now I shudder at the thought of that unseen entity toying with reality. The footage, a haunting reminder of a presence that lurked beyond the realm of human understanding, forever trapped within the confines of that forsaken place. And so I warn you, should you ever chance upon an abandoned hotel lost to time, heed my tale. For within its walls, something beyond comprehension awaits, a malevolent force that revels in the unknown, ready to ensnare the curious and the daring. Remember, Cryptic Lords, not all shadows are cast by the living, and not all echoes belong to the realm of the known. Some mysteries are better left unsolved, lest they claim your very essence in their icy grasp. May your nights be free of such haunting encounters, and may the unseen remain just that, unseen. But should you wander into the unknown, may your courage be your shield against the malevolent forces that lie in wait within the darkest corners of the world.